From New York. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Yes. Okay, Maz, I have 3 questions to you. One of my first question is this. Before the fallout of Ohaneze, did you ever, Maz, please be patient and understand my question. Before this fallout between IPOB and Ohaneze, did you ever in any way had a meeting with them and they tell them your plan? Or is it because you found out that they sold out and you took advantage of them being sold out to castigate them? Because I am in support of castigating them. I'm castigating them myself. But my question is this, my number 1 question. Did you ever tell them all these beautiful and wonderful plans that IPOB has brought for the development of Biafra land and liberation of Biafra? Did you discuss it with them?
Yes, hold on. One question at a time, because your questions are very deep. Yes, the answer to that is yes. I discussed it with them. When I came out, I went to Chief Nyawodo's house to go and see him. I had a meeting with him. I had telephone conversations with him. It did not just stop there. The same plans that we had, or we have, still have till tomorrow morning, of course, until Biafra comes and beyond, I also intimated the governors as well. Are you listening? I said, it is not just Ohaneze that I sat down with to discuss all of these issues. I also sat down with the governors and I told them everything. And I explained to them the difficulties they will have coming out in the open to support what we are doing. I am not against them doing what they're doing behind closed doors and, trying to be some kind of a moderating influence. If that is how they want to sell what they are doing to Abuja, I don't mind. I said to them, do what you're doing and we'll do what we are doing. But if you're asking me to call off Anambra elections, you must bring something to the table. I gave them example as to how the Yorubas managed to get presidency for the very first time in 1999, because there was a consensus immediately after June 12. The whole annulment, the whole nonsense that happened with Abiola's stolen mandate by IBB and Abacha. I made it very clear and I said to them, we must sing from the same hymn sheet. We must bring pressure to bear on Nigeria. That is the way you get what you want. If you keep begging and pleading from now till forever, it won't happen. I sat down with them. I discussed with them personally, I said. Private conversation one-on-one. And I told him, this is what we are going to do. Now listen very, very carefully to this. I'm not sure I've said this in public before. The governors asked me to give them a list. That Abuja asked them to ask me to give them a list as to the things that I want before I lift the boycott of the Anambra elections. Listen carefully, please. I said, you must open Calabar Seaport. You must open Iguacha Seaport. You must open Warri Seaport, because there is something wrong with all of us crowding around Lagos all the time. Apapa and Tinkan. You try to get funds from abroad, or you struggle and you buy a car, you bring in the car, and the car has to go through Lagos. Why? When the same Atlantic Ocean flows through Warri, flows through Iguacha, flows through Calabar, the same lane that the ships will take to going to South Africa, going to Angola, going to Gabon, going to Cameroon, all those places, the same Atlantic Ocean. Why must this ship stop in Lagos? Why can't it continue all the way to Calabar, all the way to Iguacha? So I said, you must open Warri Seaport, you must open Iguacha Seaport, you must also open Calabar Seaport. And I asked them, listen carefully, and I asked them, and I said to them that the river port in Onitsha must be opened. I went as far as saying that they must also build another river port in Lokoja, not to serve Biafran people, but to serve those who are in that area. We had all these things, all the plans outlined. I said to them, take this thing to Abuja and tell them that is what I want before I can call off the elections, the election boycott. You know what they did? Now, after going through all of that, because remember that then the Buhari had died, they buried him in Saudi Arabia, they were preparing Jubril to take over then. Osibanjo called them for a meeting in Asarok on the back of the submissions that I made. As I'm telling you that Call Niango on the phone and ask him. On the strength of IPOB's agitation, Osibajo called them to a meeting. Niango did not tell IPOB that he was going to that very meeting. They went to that meeting, they took the CV of their children, the resume, CV, all of them were going there to look for jobs for their children. They never discussed that very list I gave them to give to Abuja. And I said to them, there's some things I can't say on air, to be honest with you. I advised them. And I said, if they ask you, tell them I have to take something. Since you say we are your children, tell them I have to take something back to my children for them to stand down what they are doing. What are those things? As I have listed, I said all the industries that were closed down, all the industries that Michael Opera built, all the industries that Simon Bakwe built, that are moribund, we want them revived so that people can become gainfully employed. I asked Ohaneze and the governors, I said to them, what is the money that who stole the money that Jonathan voted for Iguacha to Enugu Expressway? Where is the money meant for Onitsha to Enugu Expressway? Who has that very money? Who stole that very money? Because Jonathan awarded these contracts twice. Now it was then I discovered that they had eaten the money. That those who are in Ohanese are the ones that ate the money. How are they go? Now the shame could not allow them to take this very request to Abuja and argue it, because in Abuja they were told, but we have given you money for Iguacha Enugu Express Road. We've given you the money for Onitsha to Enugu Express Road. Why are you coming to us again? Why don't you go back and tell your children that you have eaten that money? Do you understand? Now, when they pressed me that very day at Government House in Enugu, the then DG of DSS, Daura, was in Enugu that same day. They brought their money, their euro, in white sacks to give me money. Once I call off Anambra elections, they will give me money. And I said to them, no, I don't want. I was in that meeting with the governors. They said to me that Nyawodo is upstairs, that Ike Premati is upstairs. Do I want them to come and join? And I said to the governors, no, they cannot come now. Go to Abuja and tell them this is what we want. When they agree to it, today we cannot have a jamboree together. That's one big family. That was the day they decided that we are unmovable, that they will bring the army to kill us. That was the day Nyawodo and all the rest of them ganged up and said to Buratai, come and kill them. They now held a meeting at Nike Lake Resort, where they planned to kill me and to kill my parents and IPOB family members. That was exactly what happened. Your second question, please.
Thank you. My second question is this. Enyi Naya Habaribe is a senator voted in through PDP, political party, whatever, I don't know. And now, Dave Omae is also a PDP member. Now, Habaribe share the same idea that the Biafrans are being marginalized, are being tormented, are being humiliated. Do you think, since you approve of Habaribe, that this Habaribe has been able to share his ideas with Dave Omae, Ohaneze, and Ike Nwusu? Because I'm hearing that name for Ike Nwachukwu. Yes, I just want to bring in that name again, because I saw a different name with that. So my question here is this. Has Habaribe, whom you have asked us with his performance and his behaviors, that is outspoken to tell the world how we have been marginalized, do you think, since he works on the platform of PDP, and the Dave Omae, who has claimed that he is the governor's forum, or chairman, governor forum of PDP, that he has shared his idea with Habaribe, or that he has bought the idea of Habaribe, of believing that we are humiliated, marginalized, tormented, killed on a daily basis? That's my second question.
Yes, I want to answer your question this way. In the year 2000, and Obasanjo got in 1999, after Jim Wobb and Ojo Zokalo betrayed Ekweme, I want to answer your question this way, that Abaribe is a lone voice in the wilderness. Now, the question you should be asking is, why are the governors, why is that other lawmakers are not backing? Is what Abaribe saying, is it wrong that we are marginalized? Is it wrong? Everybody knows it's the truth. Now, ask yourself this question. Now, this is how I want our people to reason. Ask yourself this simple question. Why is it that other senators are not rising up and supporting Abaribe, saying the same thing, singing from the same hymn sheet, so that those who are oppressing us will understand that we have now risen up as one people? They will not do it. Because one person will go behind to Sokoto and say, oh, I want to be vice president, Forget that thing that my brother is saying. Forget what Abaribe is saying. He's just speaking for himself. Oh, we are not marginalized. There is nothing wrong where we come from. Idiot like that, buffoon, that animal in Uyo, claiming he's a preacher. That is the type of mentality our people have. They want to trade whatever they have. The competition they have is amongst themselves, whereas the enemy is outside. You should be competing with those outside. All they care about is to be the only person that have built upstairs in the village, for them to be the only cock crowing in the village. That is village champions. That is what they are. That is why they cannot support Abaribe. Are you telling me that Umahi, as learned as he is, Umahi is an educated man? Are you telling me he doesn't know what is going on? Did you not see our mothers yesterday crying that their rice farms are being destroyed in Ebonyi? Go to Punch newspaper, it is there. Are you telling me that idiot Nuyo couldn't say it? Are you telling me that Umahi cannot see that our mothers are crying that their crops are being destroyed? Now, in the house, in the chambers of the Senate, or whatever it's called, Abaribe will rise up to say, this is what is happening in Ebonyi, I'm not happy. And the same evening, Umahi will rise up and say everything is okay. Oh, Buhari is doing very well. That is how they are. People need to understand the way we have taken our selfishness to a new level. We have taken our individualism to a new level, and it is destructive. It is destructive. I could have gone as that Oshomole lookalike did a while back. I should have gone to the zoo and taken money from them. The time that Maman Dawara brought his sacks of money to a local government house. If you doubt me, go and ask any governor. They were there. Go and ask Ubani. They brought money in sacks, in euros, millions, to give to me, and I said no. In any government house. Go and ask Ikebremat, he will tell you. I said no. So if I had collected that money as some other idiots have done in the past, by now I'll be telling you, let us move forward. There is a way to do it and all that rubbish. But we have remained very consistent. We have said no. Instead of somebody to come and say, oh, this thing that our people are saying is correct, oh, let's key in. They will tell you, oh, let us beg for presidency. We will go down on our knees to go and beg them. That is the problem that we have. Not that they don't understand, but their individual selfishness, their need to come out, and because people, they know that in a Biafra land that is very highly competitive, they may not be able to find their feet. So the only thing they can do in life is to sabotage, is to go and become subservient to the oppressor, that they may make money, live in Abuja, live in Lagos. That is why they don't live in the village. Please, your next question.
Thank you, Mazen. My next question is this. You promise us that you will answer every question in every sincerity. So be patient and answer me this one. I have an aged mother who has been so much intoxicated with the Biafra. Let me use that word. I might be wrong. She has everything she talks about all day long is Biafra. So answer this question for her sake and other aged mother whom you know are listening on daily basis. Looking at all the sabos that has come up to make a video to castigate you, to tell us that IPOB is a private business, to tell us that you don't know how to do it. There are so many, I cannot mention all their names. In 3 words, can you tell the world why you think that IPOB, their message, their blueprint, and all the plans they have to restore Biafra is the best, and why they must stick and follow it? After that, I have one final. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. As I said to you before, Our people are destructively selfish. Destructively. Let me tell you something now. If you bring the best ideas to your village, you yourself right now, take that idea to your village, try to propagate that very idea. You will find out that 99.9% of the people will buy into it. There will be one idiot somewhere that will put his hand up and say, oh, I no agree, I don't agree. If you ask that, if you listen very carefully, you will hear the person murmuring. The murmur will be, oh, why should it be you? Why should it be Chukwuemeka? Why not me? Not that they're opposed to what you're doing, but their only objection is that why not them, why you? And why do you blame people? People you claim that go out to go and make video, people are very hungry. If you're a very wretched church rat and people give you money and ask you to do a video, you will do it. If you want to be like Nnamdi Kanu, you cannot be. You, of course, envy will take you over. Our people are naturally disposed to a very, devastating, envious, a jealousy that can kill. Why do people poison people in the village? Why do they poison people in the village? Is it not envy? What have you done to the man? Somebody traveled abroad, your parents suffered, scraped, saved, did everything, sent you abroad, you studied and you came back, and somebody wants to poison you. What have you done to them? Nothing. You've done nothing wrong to them. But they want to kill you because you are not. They want to be you. They cannot be like you. We are the only people that come out and millions come out without paying anybody to do so. We are the only people that command the largest mass movement on the face of the earth. If that does not attract envy and jealousy, what else can attract envy and jealousy? I ask of you. So people will spend their time trying to accommodate people who have been eaten by envy.
Sorry, sir.
As simple as that. Go ahead.
Tell my age mother why your message to liberate Biafra should be the best for her to follow all day long, as she has been following you.
There is no other way. As people should translate in English. It's because of this very message, our consistency, our unbribability, our uncompromising nature, the fact we are never ever going to stop until Biafra is restored, the fact that this very promise from God Almighty in heaven must be made manifest in our time, the fact that only IPOB, I repeat and I say it with every sense of conviction and purpose, it is only IPOB that can restore Biafra, nobody else. Tell them that is what I said. Do you know why? They don't have the discipline, they don't have the dedication, they don't have the sense of purpose, they don't have at all this very idea that everything sacrificable needs to be sacrificed to get Biafra. They don't have it. Give them money, they start building hotels. Tomorrow morning, all these idiots that you claim who are talking, including the idiot in New York, give them money, you will see they have relaxed. They build upstairs in the village and they have arrived. No, our own is the promised land. When Yeshua was praying and said, let thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, Jesus Christ prayed that very prayer. And we are referring to Biafra, and I can tell you that very confidently. That is the reason why Obama said to keep the zoo one is a task that the idiotic Janjaweed jihadists must do, because they know that Biafra is the kingdom of heaven upon the face of the earth. And anybody, if you are discerning, if you have the eyes in the spirit, if you can see, you will see what millions have seen. Our brother a while ago rang and said, in the village in those days, you come around in a village square, any good idea is basically sold to the people, and the people will say, behind this idea we stand. Go and ask people anywhere, who is that very person? Before IPOB came, has there been this groundswell of opinion in terms of our consciousness, in terms of our sense of purpose, knowing where we are going to? It's only this generation that did it, and only IPOB can do it. And that is why your grandma or your mother must remain resolute and focused in what we are doing. Thank you very much. Sorry, please hold on a second. This is your last question you said. Please hold on. Yes, go ahead.
My last question is this. Urikara no nyokara. That is, if you consume more, that means you defecate more, something like that. How do you plan to compensate? How do IPOB plan to compensate people in Aba, Onitsha, Owerri, and then for the lives that has been lost in agitating for Biafra? They have been going out for evangelism. Other people, these are matters that need to be very careful, because I have not seen protests about Biafra in Calabar. I have not heard about anyone in New York. I have lived in all these places, I'm telling you. I hardly, if not for the one IPOB initiated, seen anyone from the indigenous people in Ejo, in Bayelsa. I've been to Yenegoa before. I've not seen anyone. By the indigenous Efik people, I've not seen them. Now, look at Aba. Indigenous people in Aba have stood up to tell the world we are being humiliated and marginalized. Aba people have been killed in Onitsha. They have been killed and massacred in Asaba. Sometime I heard about that, but these days, no. Then my question to you is this: would there be a kind of a federal law, even if any preference, as soon as Biafra comes, to compensate these people that has given this much, in terms of anywhere an Igbo woman is admitted in a hospital for maybe delivery, no bill. Any child between the age of 1 to this, because we have given much, and they know it. It is not in, I have not seen Efik people gather. We are Efik, we are agitating that we are being humiliated, we are being marginalized, we are being tormented, we are being killed. I've not seen Ijo people, even the so-called Ikwere people, the so-called South of South in Ikwere and other area, even Ogoni that looks like the Ogoni, which language,
I will answer. Allow me to answer, my dear brother, so that others may be able to come in as well. And you have asked very searching and intelligent questions, and this very last one is also amongst them. People, did you read about our media head in Akwa Ibom being arrested? Do you know people have been in detention in Akwa Ibom since February of this year? And they are not Igbo people, they are Biafran people. They are Ibibio, Efik, and Anang. The thing people must understand is this: it is not in the interest of Zoo newspapers, those based in Abuja and Lagos, to let the whole world know that the entire Biafran family is united in this very effort. Which place is now more formidable than Iguacha? Aba is very strong, Onitsha is very strong, and I said last week, if I'm not mistaken, that they will always occupy a special place in our heart. It is not about individuals, it's about the mindset of that very place. And as I have said time and time again, Onitsha, Aba are very, very key, because these are huge commercial hubs. If you get these two areas, you know that our people are compliant. So they will occupy a very special place in our hearts forever and ever. History will remember Aba, will remember Onitsha, will remember Iguacha. And I am sure you said you have not heard about people protesting in all these places, and I keep reminding everybody what happened only 4 years ago, or should I say 3.5 years ago. People have forgotten that in 2015, when I was arrested, the people walked, they trekked all the way from Ebanke in Abo, all those places. People say, oh, we're not Igbo. People came out of their houses and walked on the road. They did not take any transport. They walked all the way to Enugu for a rally. It was on their way back that they blocked the head bridge of Onitsha for 4 days, asking for my release. I have said this many times. It doesn't... People, there are places in so-called Igbo land that is more quiet than Ibibio land, than Efik land, than Anang land. But we know that not everybody is just like going to a war. Not everybody enlists as a soldier to go to war, but they are fighting under the banner of that same country that they love very dearly. The same way that not all of us, you don't expect all of us to come out at the same time. Some will be praying. Some people have to pray. Some will be pouring libation. Others will be offering moral support. Some people will be doing the cooking. You don't see everybody at the same time. But I can tell you that it is raging. If you go and see the number of IPOB families that are being set up every day, you will be astonished, I'm telling you. And in places that you least expect. Forget all the idiots that come out on the pages of newspaper to be talking rubbish. On the ground, we are in control. On the ground itself, IPOB is everywhere. We are in control on the ground. So don't bother yourself, my dear brother. And thank you very much. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, his system was build your road and come and collect the money. That was what I heard in his administration.
No, I don't believe in hearing something. I believe in something that I can confirm and verify. If you know anybody working...
I had it directly from Jonathan himself. I had it directly from Jonathan in interview. He said all the state governors build the federal road and come and collect the money. Simple. That is what he said. So if our governors fail to take that advantage, I don't see how
that wasn't what happened. So what you're saying to me that hold on. Let me correct you. Please. So you're saying now that every capital project going on in the zoo as we speak today is go and build and come and collect refund later. You are mistaking two things. The governments of the zoo have been saying if you spent money on federal roads, come and take it back. And I want you to send anybody to Federal Ministry of Works. I think it's where Fashola is, the man of darkness. Send anybody there. Let them go and bribe whoever is at the gate. Go and bribe somebody to bring out the files for you. Just tell them that you want to know the status of Enugu Iguacha Expressway. Tell them there's something about Enugu Onitsha Expressway as well, they will tell you. And then lastly, I know who ate the money for Umuahia Owerri. You know the road that passed Trimbis, eh? Are you aware of that road? I know who ate that money. I know who has it. And what they did with it. So we should stop providing excuses for people who are corrupt. That is the reason why the zoo is corrupt. Because black people always make up excuses for what is evil. Since I made the allegation, has any of them come out to say that it is not correct? And if you have somebody who's close to Jonathan, ask him to ask Jonathan, how many times have you awarded Enugu Iguacha Expressway? Then you'll be shocked. You will be devastated as to what has been going on in our land. So we know all these things very well. Do you know how many times they ate the money? Onitsha Owerri. Ask anybody who lives around there. Ask them. Obasanjo had to literally cry and scream before they built Owerri to Onitsha. Are you aware of that? So which state governor built Enugu to Onitsha? Which governor built Owerri to Onitsha Expressway and collected money from federal government? If what you're saying is correct.
I think it was in the case, I'm not mistaken. They built it out of rebellion because he wanted to prove a point. But later it became norms. Thereafter, others, Jonathan said others can build and collect the money.
My brother, you are wrong. Whoever stole our money, listen, whoever stole our money is going to bring it out.
I love respecting my elders, but I am not a fool, and anybody that misbehaves, I am out for capital punishment. I don't care whoever that person is, because we don't deserve all this darkness and evil we are seeing in our country, in our region.
Yes.
But what I will not stand is it can never be right for us to stand and say that somebody that is not guilty is guilty when he's not guilty. No, that's why I'm saying what
I have given you the facts and the figures. And listen, they did not build any Owerri. So Ngige built Onitsha to Owerri, built it all the way to Assumpta Cathedral.
They build only between the Onitsha metropolis. He didn't go beyond that.
But I'm talking about a federal road. I'm not talking about the trunk B roads you have in Anambra. We must be able to understand issues and facts before we debate or argue it. Ngige built roads, P2B built roads as well. We understand that. NDDC under this man Onyema, I think his name is Onyema, he built a lot of roads as well. A lot of little feeder roads connecting communities. I am talking about federal awarded roads. I'm giving you an assignment now. 3 simple assignments. The number 1 assignment is how many times did the federal government of the zoo award the contract for Owerri to Onitsha? I said how many times? That is your number 1 assignment. Number 2 assignment, send somebody to the Federal Ministry of Works. Let them give you the file. I don't believe in hearsay, what somebody said, interview. I believe in facts and figures. Tell them to give you the file of Enugu Iguacha Expressway. You will see what happened. Then also ask, whilst you're at it, ask them a simple question. When was the last time the contract for Enugu Onitsha Road was awarded? And then lastly, also find out how many times Owerri to Umuahia Road passing through Mbisa has been awarded. Then you'll be shocked. We don't come out here to say what we do not know. What we give you are facts and figures. That is why this is the finest university on the face of this very earth. Because we speak the truth always, even if it leads to our death. You must understand that. But I do also accept what you're saying. People must not think that we come here to level accusations or cast aspersions. That is what they will say. That is what they always say. There are certain people in Federal House of Representatives, in the Senate, that ate the money meant for our roads. And when you finish, you understand the reason why. Have you ever asked yourself the reason why Onitsha Head Bridge is a public-private partnership, whereas they are building their way to Niger Republic? Have you ever asked yourself the reason why? Why Jonathan could not finish Second Niger Bridge? Have you ever asked yourself the reason why? If you know it, these people, as you see them, you will hang all of them. If you see them, you shoot them. If you know what we know, if you see them, you will kill them. You won't insult them, you will kill all of them. That is what you do. Ask yourself, if they are not compromised, are they not using that same road? Why are they not talking? If you go through Enugu Onitsha Expressway, you will see is unpassable. You, as a lawmaker, thank you very much. Have you asked yourself, but politicians come from these areas, why are they not talking? Because they have shared the money. They have shared the money. Or else, what is your job? Your job is to go and represent the people. And the roads leading from one part of your constituency to the other is not passable. And it's a federal road. It is a federal road. And you cannot talk. Hey, come on. That tells you all you need to know. But I do accept your points that you have made. And thank you very much. I remain very resolute. And I do not intend to lead, because everything, or the master plan of Biafra land, the development for 75 years, is contained in a document. At the appropriate time, it will be released. And as I have said time and time again, we are going to work for 24 hours every blessed day, morning, noon, and night for 75 years to build our land. We are not janjaweed, we are not lazy, we are intellectually astute, we are naturally endowed with intellect, hard work, and dedication to duty. Those things that have stood us in good stead for very many years will be brought to bear in this new nation of Biafra. And regarding what you said about some hereditary titles and the thrones and all the rest of it, Biafra is going to be a republic, or the people will have to decide via a plebiscite the type of nation that they want. If we are Republicans, and we have been saying it for as long as we have lived that we are Republicans, then there will be no title will be hereditary. Every position will be contested for and voted for, even down to the chief of police. The chief of police will be voted for by the people. So that you're not going to have the type of issues with SARS that you have in the zoo. The people must be responsible for the type of government and governance that they have. Nothing is hereditary. Nobody is going to go to a court of law talking nonsense, saying it is their turn to inherit a throne in a particular village. All that rubbish will be swept aside. We are going to run a purely Republican society. Republic. Which means that the people will have to decide what happens and who governs them. And the reason why we have spent years educating and enlightening our people is so that they go into Biafra with a type of mindset that will sustain the type of growth and development that you're talking about. Because if you have idiots there, I have said this thing before, if you have idiots there, you will have one Alamajiri, one idiot from Sokoto. Out of envy and jealousy that Biafra is doing very well, they can bring out some of the money they have looted over the years and give it to one idiot to go and cause havoc in Biafra land as they are doing. Right now, if you're a preacher in Biafra land, or if you're somebody that think that people have regard for you, they give you money and ask you to go and castigate Biafra, castigate IPOB. You come out and you take the money and start talking rubbish. The next day, we are not going to allow such things to happen in Biafra, and that is why we will have the very finest secret service that man can ever imagine possible. Our secret services, they're not going to sleep. They are the ones who will make sure that no counterfeit money gets into the country. People don't know the impact that counterfeit money will have on an economy. Because most of them, they are black people, they don't know. They don't even know the meaning of inflation. They don't know the impact inflation has both on wealth creation in terms of employment and making sure that we have a viable society that people will be proud to belong to. And coming to your very last question, as I said earlier, we have a master plan, believe you me. We are going to, nobody's going to be, people talk about cultism, they talk about there will be no armed robbery, you're going to go to work. People are going to, there will be department for employment. If you're unemployed, you'll be registered, the computer will capture you as somebody who is unemployed, and everything will be done to make sure that you have a job to go to. Before the white man came, we didn't have armed robbery, we didn't have people stealing. People used to go to bed, leaving their doors open. We never used to have any high fence. All this fence you're seeing these days, people build house and they build fence, suffocating everybody inside. It's a new phenomenon. It didn't used to be there before. People leave their father's compound and they go 4, 5, 6 miles away and go and live in a farm, only them. No armed robbery, nothing. All these, should I say, new age afflictions came about since the white man came and started talking rubbish about one Nigeria. We are going to go back to where we are as a people, but far more modern, far more forward-looking. Imagine what we have done with nothing. IPOB is causing the zoo sleepless nights with nothing. No politician can come out and say, we are sponsoring IPOB. No businessman can come and say, we are putting money into IPOB. From the little that we have, look at the impact we have made. Then imagine when we are given a country, we will turn it into paradise on this very earth. And they know. And that is why Obama is talking rubbish and talking about one Nigeria. Because they understand what we have in us. They understand that we are asking for Biafra that we may manifest the goodness of God in us. That is what Lucifer doesn't want. That is what the forces of darkness do not want. But simple reason that very place is not working. That very place is not functioning. I want to also use this very brief opportunity to congratulate Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala on her appointment with the WTO. I want to congratulate her. That is a very big difference between us and Al-Majri that went to ICC court and he came last. Ishaq Bello. He came last. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala went and came first. That tells you all you need to know. So when fools like Obama say keeping Nigeria one, you can now understand the reason why. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.